Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world listening, hopefully, to our first ever guest-involved podcast.
Yes, we're so excited.
Are you excited?
Yes, but you have to say who we are as well.
Oh, yes. We are called Voices to Dream, and this is Richard Harris, and this is Suzanne Mann. We have a absolutely spectacularly wonderful guest with us today, Debbie Rodriguez. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you so
so happy to be the first guest. How cool is that?
It's really, really cool. Debbie is really a world-known author, and it's so excited to have her insights onto quite a few things today. A little bit about writing, a little bit about her life, and a little bit about her amazing books. And we're going to talk around a few ideas that are coming out of our dreams and how they relate to her dreams. So we're really excited to have you, Deb. Thanks so much for coming.
You know what? I cannot tell you how happy I am to be part of this amazingly positive podcast. How cool is this?
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, so exciting. Now, before we get into stuff, as we discussed in our first podcast, we're going to check in. So it's just a bit of a minute of how are you actually feeling right now? And I don't know if I should put Debbie on the spot first. I'm actually going to put Richard on the spot first, just so that you get a bit of an ease into it. Richard, how are you checking in this morning?
I'm checking in pretty well. I mean, the fruit smoothie went down okay with the kale in it. So yeah, I'm thinking reasonably healthy. I had a swim for the first time in, I don't know, months and months and months yesterday, and it was wonderful. So I feel kind of a little bit like I'm back on the road to being a little bit fit. I'm very excited about being here with Debbie and yourself. I'm really feeling great about that, and excited to hear what Debbie's got to tell us about her amazing life and her dreams. And doing okay. I went out to a comedy show last night. Had probably one too many red wines, but here we are. We're going well. So I'm checking in pretty well. What about you, Suzanne?
Beautiful. I'm checking in really well. I know my mum actually said sometimes I come off a bit too positive, but I'm so excited when I'm doing the podcast.
Dragging us all up.
It fills me with joy, and I'm so excited. I love hearing people's stories, and so I'm so excited to talk to Debbie. And I'm probably a little bit nervous, but
no need for that. But lovely, relaxed guest.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that people understand what we're trying to do here, and that they listen and, want to partake. So so that's how I'm checking in. And how are you going this morning, Debbie? How are you checking in? Oh, except it's afternoon over there.
Right. Yeah, it's afternoon here. It's funny because I kind of checked in with my girlfriend earlier today, and we were having the conversation. And I believe when I checked in with her, the word says, "Debbie, you seem very unfiltered today." And so I don't know. I was thinking, I do feel like I am kind of speaking my mind, speaking my truth, where sometimes I will say what other people want to hear, right? And so I says, I am a smidgen unfiltered today. And I thought, I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, but I'm in Mexico. And so I have a business, and we're really, really, really busy. And so by the middle of the season, I get a little bit tired. And so therefore, I do believe maybe slightly unhinged, unfiltered. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but I think I'm there, but in not a bad way.
Beautiful. Well, I
Oh,
love a
that's
bit of
great.
Unhinged.
Yeah, with Unfiltered is perfect.
That's what this podcast is all about, being yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. And you do not need to be nervous because, think of me as your hairdresser because that's what I am. I'm a hairdresser always. So it's just kind of, if you were here, I could just be combing your hair and we'd just be having a conversation and, it would be like that.
Beautiful.
Now, Debbie probably doesn't need much of an introduction, but she is the author of The Little Coffee Shop of Kabul, which my wife had around this house somewhere. I can't find it, but I'm going to hunt it down in a bookshop and grab it and read it because I know she loved it. I know many, many thousands of people around the world have loved this book. And the other books that are around at the moment, Moroccan Daughter and the Beauty Shop of Kabul. And I would love to hear a little bit more, well, a lot more about your background, Deb, and tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us what's going on.
Well, first and foremost, my life started out as a hairdresser. I'm from generations of hairdressers, and I think that's where I always find my grounding. I'm a hairdresser, and I'm the chatty hairdresser. I'm the unhinged hairdresser. I'm the unfiltered hairdresser, always. And so that's kind of where things started for me. And that's why I went to Afghanistan and put in a beauty school. So therefore, the book stuff came later because my focus was on the beauty school. I was there, co-founded the beauty school in 2003. And I had always written, but I was never published. And I kept a very detailed journal of my life in Afghanistan while I was doing the school, when I was working with the Afghans. And the reason I did it wasn't because I thought I was this amazing writer or I needed to document my story or anything like that. I was still doing hair when I would come back home in the United States, and I wanted my customers to come back to me. So I'd send these lengthy emails. And, like we're talking at the end of it, it was like 400 and something pages of emails to my poor customers. And I just told them about my everyday life. And, and that is what became my first book. And then after I left Afghanistan, I had opened a coffee shop in Afghanistan while I was there. I needed good coffee. I love good coffee. I mean, I have nothing against Nescafe, but I was going to cut off my head if I had to drink another cup of it. I couldn't do it.
Richard can totally understand.
Oh my goodness. Like
Struggle.
I thought one more day, I'm done. I'm over.
What was the coffee that you were actually craving? Was it American filtered coffee, or was it something a bit more?
No.
Okay. When you are in Mexico now, so that.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, coffee has been. I love good wine, but I started getting headaches from it, so but my coffee, do not mess with me before my coffee. Do not talk to me before my coffee. I need that really good, that moment you take your first sip. It's like, oh God. Amazing. And so, And so that was so important to me. Plus I love creating gathering places, safe places for women, for men, for groups, just that safe place. I wanted a gathering place for myself that I could go to after dark without it being in a bar or a restaurant. And a coffee house is perfect. You grab a book, you can sit in the corner, nobody cares if you're there. And so I created my own gathering space. And since all of this, I've written altogether about 7 books. The Moroccan Daughter is the last one I wrote, and I'm working on a new project right now. But I think, I don't know how to say this. I feel that my entire life, from going to Afghanistan, from writing the books about Afghanistan, have all bubbled up into this moment right now, because now I'm working on getting my staff and other vulnerable people out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So to me, the beauty school, the books, whatever it is, are all for this one moment. And so I put it 100% of my energy, because it feels like such an important thing right now. So that's my heart is right there every second of the day.
Yeah.
And we've got so far 35 people out of Afghanistan.
Amazing.
Most of them are my past staff. And but never a day goes by without checking in, so to speak, with them.
Yeah, wow.
Beautiful.
Incredible. I mean, it's quite incredible to think that you just ended up in Afghanistan. I mean, obviously that it was a little bit opening up after the Americans came in and sorted out the Taliban regime at the time. But how on earth did you have the courage or the foresight or whatever to get to Afghanistan?
Because who says, I think I'll open a hairdresser in Afghanistan?
Right. So I was, I at that time was in an unhealthy marriage. And I guess in a sense, I was putting focus on things other than myself. And when 9/11 happened, I saw these women. I saw them at the hands of the Taliban. I saw them being put into a truck and driven to the stadium, the football stadium, and being shot for the crime of basically being a woman. I had my own anguish going on, but something hit me so hard with them. I thought, I have to go. I have to be there. I basically left. The last words my husband at the time said to me was, because I left, and he says, well, I hope you get killed in Afghanistan. I said, I would rather be killed in Afghanistan than spend one more day with you. And I left.
You are a strong woman. I love it.
Well, I was, done is done, right? And so, but the thing is that my pain was resonating with their pain. And so as unhealthy as, I recognize it, right? I recognize that wasn't the healthiest place to be doing anything, but it just leapt me into that unknown environment, because in the real world, who would say, I'm going to go to Afghanistan and I think I'll put a beauty school in? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to Afghanistan and I'm going to put a beauty school in, because I didn't feel like I could lose anything. You know what I mean? It was really weird. It was, and so it was all of that gave me strength. It gave me courage. The women were the most resilient people on the face of the earth. It made me feel like a big wuss, like, oh, this is what I'm complaining about? Seriously?
Yeah.
They taught me survival. They taught me resilience. I leaned on them when I was weak. They gave me so much. That's why now it's like I feel like they saved my life.
Wow.
Right.
Was
So I
that,
think that's why now I am so passionate about helping them, about getting them free.
yeah. Was there any clues from when as you were growing up or earlier on that this could happen to you, that you would be in that situation? Or had you traveled a
Possibly.
lot? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
you'd seen a bit of the world? And
I was always a wanderer by nature. I was always, people say that I have a rescuing nature. And so I was the child, in fourth grade that chained herself to the tree because how could you cut this beautiful tree down at my bus stop to widen the road, right? No, this tree has been here a long time. I was the child that brought every animal home. And then when I got older, I brought every person home. Like I was that person
nurturing.
always. And so it wasn't so far from my roots. My mom was the same way.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. And then when I would travel, I always found myself leaving whatever resort or whatever place. And I really felt more tuned in if I was doing something maybe to help. Like it was hard for me to just sit on the beach. Like, okay, let's go to the village and see what people may need. And that spoke to me better. That just fit me better.
Fantastic.
I think and it comes across in everything you do on your Instagram page. You can see that. And in the book, I think, it comes across your heart and your helping nature and your love of people. That's what I felt. And I have to say, this is about me, but I, when you get goosebumps when things happen, well, I call them God bumps. And, and I have to say, I've had God bumps all through this podcast already. Because you've got amazing stories. I think it's beautiful.
I mean,
I really feel that I try to, I always feel like I'm somewhat intuitive or have something within me that I listen to the inside of me. I don't typically know what to do, but my insides do. My insides can often they have put me in a situation that feels unusual or, possibly, I don't want to say dangerous, but unconventional. I've made poor choices. I've made good choices, but I'm not afraid to, follow my heart in a sense. As I'm older, I find that my heart's a little smarter than it was. I feel I've learned to follow my heart in a way that doesn't, I want to say this right, doesn't involve a man, right? Like, I think that as we're younger, we tend to follow our heart and we think that is our heart, but it's learning to take that and push that wherever it needs to be, but listening to your heart, listening to your soul. And I think that's what I've learned as I've gotten older.
Definitely. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
You're definitely my kind of woman. Well, I feel like we could go on for days
I want to know
chatting with
where
you about your life.
Where are you in Australia?
We're
Oh.
in Sydney,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay.
in the leafy suburbs of northern Sydney.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
nice.
We had to.
Wow.
We're taping
Close
over
to the
it.
beaches. We've only got 42 beaches here in Sydney.
Yeah,
Have you been to Australia, Debbie?
I have not, but
Ah,
I have to. I keep saying I have some friends that live here in Mazatlan that are from Australia that haven't been able to get back actually. And I keep saying, what's the fastest way to get there? There is no fast way
No.
to get to Australia.
up
I have tried
Dallas or
to.
something.
It is
Dallas,
really.
LA. Yeah.
Is it LA to Sydney?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
13 hours flight from LA, but
Oh,
you got to
that's
get to
not
LA.
that bad.
Not too bad. Not too
Oh,
bad.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to put us on your list for when you come down there.
Absolutely.
And we have to. Well, we do our taping. We do our tapings at Richard's house because I have 3 kids and 2 really noisy dogs. So
Right. Well,
It's a lot
surprised.
quieter
I
here.
live right on the streets of Mexico. So pretty soon you're going to hear vendors coming by, somebody selling tamales. I mean, I
would love to hear that.
Open the door so you can hear that.
yeah.
How long have you been in Mexico, Debbie?
Since 2009.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you must love it there.
I really do. It's a warm, beautiful culture.
It's on my
Yeah.
bucket list of places to go as well.
I've got a
And you
Mexican
need to
chapter.
come see me. I'll show
Yeah.
you all of Mexico when you guys
Ah.
get here. I love to drive everywhere. I love driving. I love road trips. I'll drive you everywhere.
I love it.
The road trips. Fantastic.
Okay. Well, another part of our podcast is the dreaming part. And this is where we wanted to be able to have amazing people come in and sort of like envision. Well, it's sort of inspired by Richard's book, Imagine, because we're envisioning what the world really could be like, what it would be like if we were compassionate, cooperative people. And because that's inside all of us. And so I'm just going to read a little excerpt from the book and use that a bit as inspiration, and then have a chat with Debbie about what we could do if we ruled the world, because right now we're ruling the world. And, how could we make this happen? How can we make some of these changes by changing some of the systems in the world? So I'm just going to read this a little bit. So this is from this book, Imagine. And this is from one of the chapters on Afghanistan. So this is what I guess our hope is, that potentially Afghanistan could be like. And then we're going to discuss maybe what it is like and how we could get there. So this is set in one of the mosques in the future, let's say. One man said that he only felt really fulfilled in his life when he was prepared to be generous with his love and give it away. It seemed to Joe that everyone was doing precisely that. They were giving their thoughts, dreams, and love away to each other in order to understand better, and in doing so, making them whole again. So strange, he thought, to see a culture turned around so quickly. No more was there a question of women being inferior or beholden to men. The obvious confidence and expectations of females was exhilarating, and the men had thrown their cultural barbarity into the fire and had learnt that now an equal footing, total respect, and a listening heart created much better relationships and partnerships in life. This meant that their children would be brought up in a house of discussion, compromise, negotiation, and equal rights. Joe could not have imagined a more enlightening conversation than this. He was able to shed tears of joy.
And that's.
Can we do it? What can we do? What can we do, Debbie? What's your take on this?
So beautiful. It's like, I feel like a big baby right now, but that just touched me so
Don't make
deeply.
me cry now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I didn't expect that. You're making my eyelashes fall off.
Well, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, this is the world. This is where all along. So this is how I came to know Richard. After reading this book, I said to him, this is the world I want my kids to grow up in. I want to live in this world.
Touched my heart in a way. I'm sorry. I don't mean to weep on this show.
No.
I want that so bad for the Afghans because they love their country so much. They really do. They want to be in their country. They want their food, their sounds, their smells. They want all of that. And it's all just been snatched from them. And they're fleeing to every corner of the earth when all they want is to be home. And that breaks my heart. And so what you just read to me, Richard, what you wrote is the most, if I could wish anything, that is what I would wish, because these people, the Afghans, deserve that. They are the kind, generous, loving, caring, resilient people that do not deserve what they're getting. And they deserve what you just wrote. And my prayer to the universe, to whatever God people pray to, this is what needs to happen. And how do we get there? People like you, positive people like you, these books like you're writing, people loving the Afghans. I get so frustrated because I want this so badly for them. I've never wanted anything so badly in my life. And so you touched me. That passage touched me in a way that I don't even know. It rattled me. It rattled me. You rattled me right there. I read that, you sent me that, and I read it, but for some reason just now it just hit me like a brick. I wish I knew the answer.
Because you've lived it. I mean, you know, I mean, I've done research and I've never been to Afghanistan. It's just such an amazing country. I've done a lot of research on it, but it's so incredible. But you've lived it. I mean, and you've known people and you've made friends with them and you've helped people. And it's, that's just such an incredible perspective on all of this.
Could it ever change? Like, could the women, could they start to see women in this way?
I don't know, right? It's such a hard time right now. I think that's what we all thought we were going towards. That's the sad part is that's where we were going. That's what we were teaching. That's what we were saying. Use your voice, love each other, all that. And, that's when all of a sudden the rug was ripped out from under them. So now we're starting over. And the thing is there has to be hope because there's nothing more hopeful and more resilient than an Afghan mother, right? Because they will love, they will train their children, and their rights have been ripped away. And so, but I believe in these people. I believe in their resilience. I believe in their care and their compassion. And I believe that that they will persevere and they will teach their children love. And it's a hard road ahead, but there is a road ahead. It's just tough. This is a tough time. That's why probably your passage in that book kind of hit so hard, just because I don't know right?
Yeah. No easy solution
No.
No, there
at the
there is.
moment. But there's people that are thinking, I mean, every Afghanistan that's probably left, as you say, they just think about home. They think about how they could be there happily. But that's such a hard thing because maybe a lot of them won't be able to go home for a long time.
Right. Well, I was talking to a church group yesterday that is sponsoring Afghans in the United States. And one thing I was saying, what they want is they want to be home, their home with their food. And I mean, like I wanted my coffee. And so it's like, what can you do to make them feel like home in a foreign land? And it's, and so we're just trying to work through that because it's going to be the children of the people who have left that will go back. They will go back. And that's what had happened before. People came back to Afghanistan and really were working hard to make it a place for women to be leaders and education.
How good did it get in that period? Like when you were there, like how much improvement did you see? And can you just tell me a little bit about the feeling of being in Kabul, the kites and the markets? And
I loved Afghanistan. I loved the sounds. I loved the call to prayer. That to me was, you could hear it echoing from all different, like you could hear it from all different mosques in certain areas of the city. You could hear and I think that's something, you can hear the vendors. I think that's one reason I love Mexico so much is because you can hear it. I love hearing where I'm at. I love smelling where I'm at. And that's what, sometimes the smells weren't that, the water buffalo coming through the street wasn't always the best smell, but it made you were experiencing a country on all your senses versus, I like that. And I think that's what I like about Mexico too. You're smelling it, you're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're tasting it, right?
Yeah.
The food is so important. And I was talking with my girlfriend who is we were in Afghanistan together and also working the evacuations together. And the one thing that we both said is we lived a little bit on high alert, which makes you it's not a good way to always be, but it makes you feel alive. Like you feel so alive there. Your senses, it's like your nerve endings are tingling because death, it could be closer than normal, right? Going to the market wasn't like, I'm just going to run to the market, right? Like you had to plan your route and you had to think about things, right? So you were very conscious of life. You were very conscious of danger, of death. You also felt like you could do more good in one day than what you could do in your entire lifetime.
Wow.
And like for me in the United States, things like this would happen. I would come home and there would be a person at my gate and it would be somebody who was dying. And I'm like, this was like a young woman who was sick. They didn't know where to take her. And what do? You don't leave them on your gate, right? And I could find a doctor that could do a surgery. I could find help. And so I remember one young woman had a bowel obstruction, and she was skin and bones, but I think it was $400, we're able to get her the surgery she needed to live. And then she was able to go to beauty school.
Wow.
So, I mean, so it was just like, you knew you were there for a reason. You knew you were there to make a difference. You knew you were there to help. So that's what you did. So you lived every day like that, where sometimes I think, and when you get very self-involved in your own world, like when I was living in the States, you're not living for that. You're living to pay your bills. You're, you're living for multiple reasons. But because we didn't have that much in Afghanistan, it wasn't like we could go shopping. Really, it wasn't like we're going to go to the mall. So we would fly to Dubai so we could go shopping, right? But then that was like that really joyful moment when you're in a mall or at a grocery store that has more than 2 options for cereal or whatever. You appreciated everything, gratitude for everything. And so that was, I think, Afghanistan gave you gratitude. You felt gratitude for, toothpaste, for soap, for just simple things, for a good cup of coffee. Like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And you tasted it. And so, and just being able to be with, you felt frustration too, right? Don't get me wrong. There was the way systems would work. Something always says Afghanistan was so easy, much easier when you didn't have to get anything accomplished. And so trying to get something accomplished sometimes was super frustrating. But it was.
There was something that I wanted to actually read from your book, Debbie, that I just wanted to ask you about as well, because I put a big post-it note and put little stars on this section. But it was when I don't know if I'm saying his name properly, but I think it's Bashir Hadi is talking, and he says, one of the other characters is saying, "Don't you want to modernize the country? Don't you want the country to be better?" And he says, "Of course I do, but from the inside out, I want Afghans to change Afghanistan." And then he says, "I'm tired of everyone treating us like we're babies in our mother's arms. We can figure this out ourselves."
Yeah.
And I guess I thought that really struck me. And I thought, again, it made me think of how, everyone else comes in and just tries to fix it, and you talk about that in the book, that they should grow tomatoes rather than growing their opium,
right.
But there hasn't been this thought behind it, and people aren't actually asking the people who are there. And, do they, I guess that was that. I just thought, how do they feel about that? And how do you feel about that? Is this something that needs to be worked on from inside out?
Well, we see what happens when we try to fix it, right? Like we've just seen a perfect example of what happens, right? I think it's really important. There's a book, and I've read parts of it, but it's When Helping Hurts, right? And I think that it is important that the Afghans and in any country really, they are part of the conversation. The book I wrote, Island on the Edge of the World, deals with this a lot because it takes place in Haiti. And it's basically when helping hurts and when we are doing what we think is good for them. And, you know, we're building in Haiti, the wooden houses on a fault line, or where, you know, hurricanes can take it out, or, you know what I mean? It's like, thank you for that house, but that's not going to stand for very long. But yeah, I think, first of all, Afghans are not stupid people. They know what they want. They may not always have the resources to get where they need to be, but they need to be a part of the conversation. The Afghans need to be directing this conversation of how they want their country. They've been invaded so many times. They've been fighting for so many years. You know, they're tired. I mean, we all are tired. And so, yeah, I think that the Afghans are going to figure this out. And, you know, it's like anytime any of us are trying to figure out, sometimes it needs to have some guidance, you know, some people that are experts, but I found that when I first started with the beauty school, the one thing that I knew was that we weren't bringing something into Afghanistan that wasn't already there. First of all, they are very particular about their hair and their makeup. You think because they're veiled or they're under a burqa, they don't have eyelashes on or they don't have their makeup on. You are completely wrong, because I mean, they are beautifully coiffed, so to speak. And so we weren't bringing anything new in. But in the very beginning, we were kind of teaching our way. Like, okay, this is the way we do makeup, you know. And it was after the first couple classes, it's like, okay, now that we've got some Afghans that have gone through the program and they've been with me now for a while, let's rework this. What do you need? Like, once we kind of got a handle on how to do a school and this, that, then it was, what do you need? You know, when somebody said they were going to give me funding, they said, what do you need? And they said, for your school, what do you need? I said, I need eyelashes and eyeliner. It was like, that's what I needed. Like, because that's what they needed. Because they needed to go out and be able to make money. And their money was in wedding hair and makeup. And to ignore that, and let me tell you, that's a lot of eyelashes. A lot of eyelashes. I mean, really, I mean, it was so, I mean, we never even thought about that in the beginning, right? It's like, okay, well, we're going to teach them how to cut hair. The money was in the wedding hair and wedding makeup. That's where the money was. And so once we heard from our students, what can we do? What do you need? You've now just graduated. They said, well, this is fantastic, but we still can't make any money, right? Like, we just learned how to do a haircut, but who are we doing that haircut on? Because we need to know how to do updos. We need to do, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting when you listen. That is the key.
You can pretend you know what she's talking about here.
Yeah, he's doing totally the big nod. Yeah.
Updos. Yeah. I'm totally getting it.
I'm totally that. Afghani, makeup styles.
He's
Fake
like,
eyelashes,
I can't
you know
believe
all
I
about
didn't
that.
include
yeah, so Richard, we're gonna just do a check-in. Let's just do a check-in now.
No, that's good.
But you know what?
And so what have you learned?
Quite a lot.
Well, I love that. I mean, for me, what I'm getting out of that is like from a systems perspective of changing the world, trying to make this world a better place. It's having conversations with the people that it's actually affecting, like asking people, what do you need? I think that's amazing. And, and maybe that's a step that governments are forgetting.
Well, I think that's really like, that was the thing I wish that I had really grasped that completely right from the beginning, was finding out what they need and how they can implement it themselves. And as time went on, we got pretty good at it. But like, for instance, right now I have, quite a few families that I've moved out that are waiting to get to their final country. And it's all hairdressers. And these are families of hairdressers who I trained, who trained their daughters, who trained their daughter-in-laws, who are now training their grandchildren. And so they are doing exactly what we had hoped would happen in something as simple as, once I got that they need to do the training, I got to stop. I'm training them my way. When they took over the training and they became the teachers, the world opened up.
Yeah. Wow. It's empowering, isn't it? It's beautiful. Yeah. That's what it's about, empowering people.
Yeah. So you triggered this sort of series of positive events that's just carried on and will carry on. It's fantastic.
But I had to step out of the way, though.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. They've taken hold of
it. Like, I had to stop micromanaging. I had to stop thinking of my way as the right way and let them tweak it out to their way. And getting out of your own way, getting out of the way was huge.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So have you incorporated some of their traditions in your style now? Is that something that you've
what I did? It was kind of funny because you get a little bit out of touch when you're living there with like, say, fashion in the West, so to speak. And you would get off the plane and thinking, okay, I look different. And so you had to like
switch back
a little bit. No, I still wear, I know, Richard, you're never going to understand this. I still use, how they do the kohl for the eyeliner? Yeah. I still use that.
And it doesn't run. Does it run when you're crying?
No. I mean, no. But I still use that, which is like something, and I know probably I shouldn't be, but it's like a part of Afghanistan that I keep with me, like, every day. Like, I use it every day for when I do my makeup, and which is so odd, but it just like is just a little bit of them with me.
Do you think it lines even better than like a liquid liner?
It does, actually. Because it does.
I might need to try some.
Yeah, it's hard to get, but it does the top and bottom lid at the same time. I love it.
That was totally for the girls.
Yes, Richard,
totally for the women.
You must try that. Watch the Lawrence of Arabia sort of movies. You all see the men have their kohl eyes too.
Yeah.
Right. And they put the kohl on the babies like right at birth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So people really, it's the goal is to keep the evil eye away.
Beautiful. I love it when
Yeah.
it has deeper meaning as well.
Yeah.
Debbie, we haven't talked too much. I mean, a little bit about your writing, but tell us about your writing experience, how you do it, what you're working on. Tell us all about your experience as an author.
For me, when I'm like, when I'm looking for a story, or usually I can't write something until I have possibly lived a story.
Mm-hmm.
Or a part of it where it will maybe trigger. I'm the person who can be at the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, right? Sitting, waiting to get your driver's license or whatever it is. And I can look at all the people sitting there, because you're there for hours, and I can weave a story about each and every one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, creating characters, I always say that I have baskets, and I will, because I still do hair, right? And so people are still telling me their stories, and I'll say, can I use that one?
Yeah. I was going to say, you'd have to watch out what you tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty careful. I have always asked permission if it's like a really, really good one. And then I throw it in like a basket, right? And I throw people's stories. I take people's, the way they look, the way they dress. I throw it in a basket. I collect characters, like based on based on real things that have happened, based on real people I've met, all this sort of stuff. And then when I begin to tell a tale, I will unpack them, and I have to see if they fit. And so a lot of it is like putting a puzzle together. You've got to have that perfect location with the perfect story, with the characters that mesh well together. And it's like you audition them, and oftentimes they get kicked out, or somebody needs to be stronger. And so that's, for me, a lot of it. Even before any writing takes place, you're auditioning characters and stories. And I can tell a story really well. And so I will sit, and I always have friends that I say, can I tell you my story? Can I tell you what I'm working on? And I will tell them the story. And if I can hear myself saying it, I think, oh my goodness, that just doesn't work at all. So like I tell the story many, 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 many times before I really I take notes and stuff like that. But before I start anything, like I've got, as a hairdresser, I'm a storyteller, because we've got, I mean, again, Richard, you're going to be out of this one. When you're doing a head of foils, you got like 3-4 hours that you have with people. You need to be able to tell a good story to keep them engaged.
Yeah.
Like that's a long time. And so I can tell when I'm telling a story out loud that resonates real, that I'm not a science fiction writer. I want every character to resonate real. The Little Coffee Shop, that is a fiction book, but does it not feel real?
Oh, it so feels real. There is so much of it that I'm like, oh, are these people real?
Does Sunny feel like me?
Well, once you told me that you'd started the coffee shop yourself, I'm like, I bet she's, and actually, even just then when you said that you love driving, I'm thinking Sunny loves driving.
I know.
Now, how do you go? Like you've been very productive, 7 novels, 7 books. You must have a discipline to that. What's the secret to
He wants to know this
that?
for
Oh
himself.
no,
I want to know it for the world.
I am, no, I don't. It depends on what I'm doing at that moment, right? Like, am I researching and whatever it is I'm doing, like I can be super hyper focused, right?
Yeah.
And this is weird for me. I tell you, I like the sounds, right?
Mhm.
Sounds, because typically all my books take place in locations that have lots of sounds, lots of smells, lots of sensory things, right?
Yeah.
And so here for me, I will open my door, because like if I could take you to the next room and you'll see that I have a 3-foot sidewalk in a street. I literally live on the street. Like, there's no yard. I'm like in Central Historical. I am on the street of Mexico. And so I do have all the sounds. And so sometimes when I need to get that feeling, I can open my door and I can smell the smells.
Yeah.
I can hear the whistle of the guys selling sweet potatoes and, plantains and that sort of thing. I can smell that. And so that for me helps. I typically do most of my writing in the summertime because it's really super hot here. And that way you can kind of be inside and but no, I mean, it all depends on what I'm doing. When I have to be really disciplined, I can do that. And I try to, because I still run a spa. I have a spa in Mexico. So I'm still going to the spa.
You're a busy woman.
I am busy. Like I always say, I have 3 full-time jobs. That's why I was feeling unfiltered, because like I have 3 full-time jobs.
Yes.
It's like, okay.
Plus you're a grandmother, aren't you? Which I don't believe, because I'm like, she's not old enough to be a grandmother.
Oh, well. Sadly,
oh my goodness.
No.
Oh, wow. Well, I just wanted to bring, I'm sorry to interrupt.
There you go.
I wanted to just bring back one thing, because with the podcast as well, my hope was that we could leave people with an idea of what they could do wherever they are around the world, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in Mexico, America, something that you could do to make this dream, this imagined life come true today in your own space. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And I guess trying to relate back to, whether it's gender equality and, bringing children up in, these, in a place where they actually are able to communicate, I just thought I would try and get a bit of input from both of you, actually, as to what we could do today to leave our listeners with. That's something that maybe they could just bring to the forefront of their mind and go, wow, maybe that's not changing something in Afghanistan, but that's changing something here, which then could ripple effect, change something overseas.
Well, my first thought is, I'm all things Afghanistan right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I would tell people that every corner of the earth right now is having refugees from all over the world, not just Afghanistan, right? And choose kindness, because wherever it is, whether I say you lose your house in a fire, or you have to flee your country, or you are getting out of a bad marriage or something, you don't know people what they're really going through. But choosing the kindness towards others, I think that is, you do not know really the person in the grocery store. You do not know what they just walked out of. You don't know if they need just somebody to be kind to them that moment, that second, to bring their world different, that they can take it home to their children, that their children can take it to their school. Kindness, like just being sensitive that maybe your world feels really good right now, but maybe you need to just like put your arms around like a big hug, being kind. I think people can make that choice to be kind and non-judgmental. And you know what? Who cares what religion anybody is? Who cares how anybody dresses? Who cares what color their skin is? Who cares the level of education? Be kind. And that to me is huge.
Oh, Debbie, I love that. And everyone can do that anywhere in the world today.
Yeah.
How do you follow up after that?
Oh, that's amazing. I love that, Debbie. It's just so, to see things from other people's perspective. I think the only other thing I was going to add was not to be scared of interacting with people that are in that, have been through that sort of situation of trying to, keep your ears open and, maybe reach out a little bit to people that are sort of displaced. And I don't know how easy that is in practice, but yeah, I mean, if we just have a bit of a think about that and, maybe a few of us at least can reach out a bit more and listen to people.
And I think that people are always asking me, what can I do? What can I do? You can see if there's any displaced people in your community. You can donate clothes that, you can do something. Everybody can do something. Everybody. You can, your neighbor, you don't know. I mean, if you do not seek it out, you will never know. If you don't open your eyes, you can choose to live in your own little la-la land and not choose to, because if you truly see, that means you probably should do something, but it's so much easier to not see because then you don't have guilt, right? For not doing anything. Not seeing is so much easier. And I think that has been an issue for me because I do want to see, sometimes I want to see too much, right? But I think that if everybody could just see a little bit.
Are you having, just a slightly different topic, but are you having success in getting people out? And is that kind of working or is it if it's littered with tragedy as well?
I have a nonprofit organization called Oasis Rescue. And so we have been successful of getting right now, like I said, we've gotten 35 people out. Most of them, or in fact, all of them at this point are my staff and their families. And we're also working with high-risk women, female activists, women.
Sensitive.
And, that will have issues in their current situation. And so, we've been successful. We have one thing we have learned, that things can happen, but it's expensive. It's not like in the days where people could get evacuated on that magic flight out to, those days are done. And so now everything costs money. And so we raise money and we're getting people to safety.
Is
And
there a
I'm-
website, or so is there a
yes,
Oasis Rescue website, or?
Yeah, www.oasisrescue.com.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
yeah,
And,
and so
and that
and-
money
and-
goes,
yeah,
that money goes straight
100%.
to it. Beautiful.
100% goes to our board and everybody who's working with the projects. We're all volunteers. 100% goes to the Afghans. 100%. And
Beautiful.
so yeah, it's exciting. It's scary sometimes when they're crossing, when they're trying to almost getting out, and it's like I'm up all night waiting for that text, and they have to survive in another country for a while until they can get the country they're going to wind up being in, their final country. So.
Wow. I love that I don't know, I feel like you've personalized Afghanistan more for me today. Made it feel, because so often it's just this thing on the news,
Right.
and you depersonalize it. You forget about the people that are there on the ground, and bringing that back and remembering that there are people just like us, as well. And bringing that heart back into it. I've really appreciated that today. So,
you know what? And thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you for taking the time to hear about Afghanistan and for listening to me. I mean, thank you. And Richard, I'm telling you, I can't believe you made me cry.
You made me cry.
I'm telling you. I mean, I hate it when that happens, kind of. It's like I'm sitting there thinking, oh my
beautiful.
goodness, my eyelashes are going to fall off, because it's all about the eyelashes today, right?
It's so beautiful.
That was really, I was very touched by that you reacted like that. I mean, it's amazing. But yeah, it's, I mean, to be able to write and to get people to feel emotions is an incredible thing. And I'm sure you've enjoyed that, and people have enjoyed your books around the world, and it's amazing.
And thank you guys for all you're doing. And I love the positive. I love the joy. You guys are just really amazing.
Thank you. And I must say, and I know this sounds like a total plug for both of you, but it totally is, because I love both of you. In reading both of these books, I felt like I really was, this one gave me a totally new vision of really what's going on over there, and the issues and all of the different, the issues within even the different the different cultures within Afghanistan. And then in reading Imagine, I was like, wow, that this is how it could be as well. And how could we, I don't know, I really loved putting them both together. So I'm plugging both of you.
I want to do a podcast and interview you guys, because as the hairdresser, I have so many questions.
My stories are very boring. He might have more interesting stories than me. It was so beautiful. You can close us out.
Well, just to thank you. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about how people can contact you or read your books? Or, I mean, obviously, you're just all everywhere, but tell us what's the best way to
I have a website, DeborahRodriguez.com, and I'm on Instagram under Deb, DEBB_Rod, and I'm on Facebook. I'm kind of anywhere. I love interacting. And I love talking with people. I mean, we met
that's how we met.
Instagram, right?
Yes.
I know, it's so funny. It feels like you know people. I love meeting people.
She's actually like this. This is her.
I love it.
This is me all the time.
So yeah, so
beautiful.
I am somebody who will love to talk to anybody. It's wonderful. I love meeting people.
Yeah.
And
Well, we are
so-
so appreciative of you meeting with us. And I managed to get the time zone difference correct.
Yeah.
So I
You
think
did
I've done pretty
good.
well
You
for
did
my first
good.
one. I nearly had us a day out there at one point, but I fixed it all back up together. So thank you so much.
Wonderful first episode, and you're just the perfect person to have. And it's so lovely to meet you. So thank you so much.
This was amazing. I can't wait to share this with all my friends.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will. Is that bye?
Oh, well, I think that's
Bye.
Bye.
I know. Bye.